Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the Leading Change episode this week with Cynthia Krakmer. Hey, Cynthia, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Vasco.
So Wednesday's Change Leadership episode. And through this, we want to hear a story, but through this, we want to explore the tools, the tips, the tricks, and the techniques you used in this change process that you still apply today, Cynthia. So share that story with us.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Thank you, Vasco. So I was just reflecting, and I was just thinking every single bit of my work is change, and it's literally whenever I coach teams, I accompany them towards the way they're working now, to the ways of working of the future, or how they desire to be working tomorrow. And so I believe that there are different things we need to be careful when we are trying to change people. I think it's we've been discussing that before, Vasco, which is the story we're telling. But I think the story we're telling will need to make sure that it's relevant for every single people. And in communication and in change, there is this one tool that is actually really, really powerful. It's what is in there for me. And typically, I'm currently running a transformation of 250 people in a department, and the profiles are very different. So the leadership team, the operational managers, the middle managers, and the sort of technicians I'm working with will have a different incentive to change. And so being able to articulate this is really, really important. But in change, there is also different profiles. They will be always the people who are the early adopters, or the change champions, as we might call it in change management, who might really seize this opportunity and who are really excited, and it's really important to leverage them. But there are also some other people who might have seen so many things already, and I think with Agile, sometimes it's, that's Agile is just the new term of something we used to call Six Sigma in the past, and that's it's sometimes hard because we need to sort of explain why Agile will make a difference. So it's important to spend some time with people and understand why are they reluctant, but also be able to sort of explain what they could gain. And so something I found very powerful in the current transformation I'm leading is to create some faces about this change that are from the business. So it's more powerful for somebody from the business to tell the story about Agile. Start with, when I first heard about Agile, I thought it was one of these other methodologies that is just like a new rebranding. But then I was convinced, and this is what triggered this change. So really bringing people to the front to tell their story about Agile. And I think this is this has been a big game changer in my transformation, is to make change indigenous in the sense of really having people who champion it within, and who also share their way of seeing Agile. Where do they see some other opportunities to bring Agile? I think that's one thing. But maybe another aspect that I really want to emphasize on is that change takes time, and teams, there is a cost to change, as we can say, in terms of time. And so teams, but also the line managers and the department leads, they need to be aware that if they want their teams to change, they need to allow them also to spend some time being trained, having some coaching sessions, being able also to take time to install a retrospective. that's really, really difficult, because very often time for learning, for introspection, is actually taken as a nice to have and not a must.
Yeah, but
But
at the
unless,
end, it's kind of a key enabler for change, right?
absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
one of the things that I remember from some of my initial agile adoption processes is that there was usually a group of people who actively resisted, or that's what we call it back then.
Yeah,
These days, I probably would say that they are waiting to be convinced before they take the first step. And
exactly.
I also remember that coincidentally, that group of people was also the group that was the most, how do you say, convinced
Yeah,
proponent and supporter of the change later on. And
yeah,
what you said is actually very important, because sometimes when we think, oh, these people, they're just resisting, actually what is happening is that they are going through the change inside their mind, and they need to find the paths, the approaches that work for them,
yeah,
and then they will become proponents or supporters of the
exactly.
change.
Exactly. And this is the critical mass that can really make the huge change, because convincing the early adopters, that's one thing. But whenever you manage to target this more resistant mass, but very often also in there you have big influencers, if you manage to turn them into actually sort of a influencer of this change and representing this change and convincing maybe others, this is just like um, you, I mean, it happened, the change happened, and it means that we're getting closer to actually what we were expected. We
And
were
if
expecting.
we look at this in practice, like there are two key groups of people in our change process, and also in how we develop relationships and
Hmm.
whom we support, that we need to pay attention. The first, which you already mentioned, is the early adopters, and
Hmm.
then the second is not necessarily the laggards or late maturity, but rather those people that keep on asking questions, because those
Yeah,
that don't care, they don't ask any questions.
exactly.
Right? But those that ask a lot of questions, they are not necessarily early adopters. In fact, they might even be implicitly or sometimes even explicitly
Yeah.
resisting the change. But if they keep on asking questions, I think it's important for us to accept that they are not resisting. They are
Mm,
being open to the change, just not yet
absolutely.
there.
Exactly, exactly. It's really interesting what you're saying, because for me there are even four groups, and this is actually according to dragon dreaming methodology that like splits groups in four different boxes. There are the pros, that are like pro for the change, who are active, and the ones who are passive. And then you will have the people against the change, who are active, and those who are passive. And I think here it's the ones who are vocal. It's always really important to listen to them, because also first, the ones who are against it, they will provide you feedback about the fact that what you're telling them doesn't convince them. So you might really take that and think, okay, maybe I haven't articulated my what's in there for this group. Or if they are asking questions, it's because they don't understand. So then I need to sort of make sure that they do understand. And so in dragon dreaming methodology, they always say um, how do they call it? The ones who are against what you're trying to achieve and are vocal are the people who are the most constructive, because it forces you, really, it challenges you a lot
It
in what you're
helps
trying to
us.
do.
It helps
Yeah,
us iterate, right? It provides
exactly.
I would say, an active and sometimes even continuous
Yeah,
retrospective opportunity.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's a great hint, I should say, that
Hmm.
you mentioned. So you said it's called the dragon dreaming methodology.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So
Absolutely. We'll
it's,
put the link in the show notes so that people can
oh,
go
perfect.
and
Yeah, yeah.
find out more about that. Cynthia, that was great. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Vasco. I'm really happy to be here with you.
Leading change is one of the core skills we must acquire, but it is only one of the steps towards our success as Scrum Masters. Tomorrow, On Success Thursday, we will talk about how to define success for the Scrum Master role. We'll cover tips on how to measure your way to that position, and most importantly, how to develop that focus on continuous improvement that is as important for Scrum Masters as it is for teams. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.